We welcome you back to Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Kirk Herbstreit and Lisa Salters, I'm Brent Musburger, and Herbie, it's time for our Southwest Airlines playbook.
Well, it's been Colt McCoy and a little bit of more of Colt McCoy and a little bit of Jordan Shipley mixed in there, but what a great first half for Colt McCoy and the Longhorns offense. He ended up hitting 18 to 21. Early in this game, he got into rhythm, finding Shipley. How about Childs getting behind Dennis for a big touchdown? And I think you could just see early in this game that this Texas Longhorn football team was on a mission, led by their leader, Colt McCoy. They clearly came into this football game trying to make a statement. It's a business trip for them at this point.
Well, what's very interesting now is what Mack Brown said to Lisa. We start fresh the second half. He's not calling off his troops in any way because he knows that Alabama struggled a little bit against Tennessee. Florida's struggling against Mississippi State. And he wants to make sure that should they run the table, they'll be 1 or 2 in those BCS rankings. All important for Texas. Simmons on the return right now. I want to take a look at the Pacific Life Game 7. Remember we told you that last week Oklahoma had Colt McCoy on the turf at the Cotton Bowl 14 times in the first half? Well, folks, look at the difference here tonight. He's passed for 213, rushed for another. He's only been down on the ground 3 times. And remember, he has carried the ball as a ball carrier, and that counts. And Gabbert has been down also 3 times.
Last week, it seemed like Colt McCoy, every time he snapped the football, he was on his back being hit by the Sooners defense. Totally different story a week later.
Too far in front of his receiver on Gabbert's first pass of the second half, and it was incomplete to Alexander. And the defender was Aaron Williams, number 4.
I think for Mack Brown and for Texas, it's not just about trying to send messages for style points this year. I really believe when you get close to this staff and these players, they're holding on to that mantra of control your own destiny. Don't put this into the hands of the system or anything else. Let's just keep winning football games.
That's Derek Washington, the junior from Missouri, the ball carrier of his career. Of course, we've seen a lot of Muschamp the last 2 weeks. I noticed Coach Dwayne Aquina, who works with the defensive backs down there alongside of him, also sending out signals. And he deserves an awful lot of credit for the development of these defensive backs. There's Coach Aquina right there. From Hawaii, he was the co-defensive coordinator, stayed on the staff when they brought Muschamp in, and he's just a fine football coach. 3rd down and 8. Gabbert. Deep, great catch. Alexander going up. Terrific grab for a Missouri first down.
Denario trying to get this crowd back into the game, and this gives you an idea at 6'5", what he can do when you put the football close to him. That ball looked like it was overthrown. See the ball sailing, and out of nowhere, 81 in black goes up and over both Texas defenders and makes a great play.
24-yard gain, big play. First down and 10, the ball out at the 41-yard line for Gabbert and the Tigers on the first possession here in the second half. Come back with Washington. Had a gap on the right side. Gregory and Polk over there. Lamar Houston makes a stop defensively for the Hornets.
The big challenge for Texas throughout this football game when you defend Missouri and their attack is that you get so caught up in the way they can spread you out with 4 and 5 wide receivers horizontally from sideline to sideline, and sometimes you forget about being physical and being able to defend the run. That's something you still have to be aware of.
2nd and 7. Gabbert is checked over at the sideline, and David Yost, the offensive coordinator, has sent the play in. Here's Washington again, short of the first down. And that is Robinson, Keenan Robinson, sophomore from Plano.
The defensive backs get so much attention for their improvement in the back end, but I think Keenan Robinson, along with McElroy as a mainstay and Emmanuel Acho, really have given this Texas defense this year a trio of linebackers that are now big, athletic, and rangy. And I think that is a big difference between Texas defenses the last couple years and where they were maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
McElroy, number 38, readjusting the linebacker. Robinson, number 1, moves off to his right. Sergio goes down at a 3-point, and they run away from it. But Gabbert well short of the first down, and McElroy, the middle linebacker, was in on the Missouri quarterback, and it'll go over.
One of the top linebackers in the Big 12, McElroy, the senior. You can see they deliberately made the quarterback, Gabbert, keep it on a zone read. You saw Sergio Kendall chase the running back, Derek Washington, which sends the message to the quarterback to pull the ball out and try to run. And with a gimpy ankle, it's exactly what Will Muschamp wants him to do, is pull the ball out, and it makes it an easy play for McElroy.
I mean, 2 return men back deep because they try to keep it away from Shipley. Remember, they blocked the last one for a Texas touchdown. And the fair catch there on the 12-yard line by Shipley. You ever wonder what fathers are doing the night before a big game? Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley, well, their dads were squared off in a high school football game, a big one. Remember now, Bob Shipley coaches Brownwood. Brad McCoy coaches Graham, 2 high school teams. They were roommates at Abilene Christian, okay? And Shipley's little brother, Jackson, and McCoy's little brother, they both play on the for their fathers, okay? A 28-27 Shipley win, a blocked extra point at the end.
What a game.
What a wonderful game between those 2 families. And how about that? 2 fathers who were roommates at Abilene Christian, now at Brownwood and Graham. And I'm sure tonight they're watching their sons out here. They're roommates at Texas, Shipley and Colt McCoy. Yeah, McCoy's little brother last night threw for 392 yards and 4 touchdowns. How about that? And Shipley's little brother caught 8 passes for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns.
The next generation.
Yes.
Just bring them aboard.
Indeed, huh? What a wonderful story there.
Look at how proud those dads are. What a great thing that is.
Second down and 13 under pressure. McCoy has to get it out, and Shipley unable to come back fast enough. They were in his face that time, and he went down for the first time this quarter.
I think that the adjustment here is trying to get some pressure, trying to be able to get there. And Gatchkar, that time, the linebacker on the blitz, number 6, comes in. And you can also see Ebner coming in there, forced the running back to step up and pick Ebner out coming up the middle, and it freed it up for Gatchkar from the outside to get that pressure on Colt.
Dave Stecco probably told his team, you know, it's not illegal to hit the quarterback.
Exactly.
If you hit him late, it's illegal. But
hey, guys, down 35-7. Let's just come after him.
It's not touch football we're playing here. And McCoy back middle, Shipley first down, out of a jam on that 3rd down pass. Oh, I mean McCoy tonight, folks. That's a 25-yard gain to Shipley. He's 19-23 for 238 yards.
Malcolm Williams to the inside occupies enough attention from the linebackers and the safeties. Number 9, the big fella, takes away most of the defenders, and right behind is Jordan Shipley for a nice little alley there for Colt McCoy to throw it.
Fake to Fozzie, and they hit the wide man, Marquise Goodwin, and the defender, that is Jasper Simmons, the free safeties from Pensacola, Florida, and he was right there.
Colt McCoy is spreading the football around a lot tonight. 7 different receivers involved. Of course, Shipley right now is leading target, but he has done a good job of looking for other players, and we've talked about how important that is for the growth of this offense. 7 different receivers making plays tonight.
2nd and 11. 4-man rush. And it's intercepted, picked off by Sean Weatherspoon. Mizzou's leading defender, and Colt McCoy's problems with interceptions continue here today. As Weatherspoon this time picks him off.
He got a little greedy here, and he actually telegraphs his throw. He eyes him the whole way, and I think he maybe underestimated the ability for Spoon here. I think he thought he could just squeeze it in and get the ball thrown to Malcolm Williams, but give all the credit to Sean Weatherspoon, who just sat back, read the eyes of Colt McCoy, and it led him right to the football.
I've got that as interception number 8, and unofficially that would tie his entire total of last year. Again, it's unofficial on my part. But I've got Colt at 8, and thumbs up from George Hill, the A statistician. He had that in his. He was going to hand me that card. Okay, first down and 10. Oh, the throwback to Gabbert, and wow, that was Curtis Brown unloading on him.
He was going to throw the football. I mean, Gabbert here gives it to Washington. Washington gets it back as quick as he can to Gabbert, and unfortunately for him, Curtis Brown is coming in and closing in on him to take him away. And by the way, even if Curtis Brown is not there, Blake Gideon and Earl Thomas both back there covering the two receivers that were going out for the pass.
So Witherspoon turns it back over, but suddenly it is 2nd and 21. Now field spread for the Tigers, and Gabbert bounces one to the intended target, Wes Kemp, and it will be now 3rd and 21.
Now their best drive was when they mixed up 2 backs in the backfield, mixed in some quick hitters with their running game with Kendall Lawrence and Derek Washington, mixed in a few passes, quick hitting passes, getting the ball out of Gabbert's hands fast. And it's tough to do that when you're already, with 8 minutes to go here in the second half.
And you're down 35-7.
Exactly.
You've got to strike quickly.
Tough to do against this defense.
3rd and 21. Sacked. Down in the arms of Eddie Jones, a junior defensive lineman from Kilgore, and Gabbert remains down. And they a loss of 15 here, but there's a punter coming on anyway.
Yeah, 3rd down and long, and you can see Eddie Jones wraps him up, and it's unintentional, but he wraps him up around the ankles just to bring him down. And doing that right ankle looks like it may have gotten tweaked again as Gabbert's trying to get some help off the field there. But that fires up Will Muschamp, seeing that front continue to get pressure. So one thing about an ankle, when you do it early in the year, you try to get treatment, you try to come back, and all it takes is another tackle or another little tweak, and you're right back to square one and trying to get your recovery.
Gary Pinkel has to be thinking of bringing in Jimmy Costello to play here. He's down 35-7. He's got 8.5 minutes in the 3rd quarter.
For Texas, Harry in punt formation.
Harry back to punt again. He's had one blocked, as we pointed out. Shipley's going to let this one roll. So is Thomas back there, and it'll be grounded there at the 37-yard line. And there's Gabbert receiving attention on the Missouri sideline. We'll continue.
So who do you like?
We welcome you back to Columbia, where Colt McCoy and the Texas Longhorns are beating Missouri 35-7 here in the 3rd quarter. Story I'm going to tell over the next 2 plays between snaps. The Missourian, fine newspaper here in Columbia. On their Tiger kickoff, they had 10 reasons why Texas is a bad homecoming opponent, and they were very, very funny. And I'm going to give you number 5 right here. As it's Fozzie Whitaker on the handoff, and he's now. It involves Colt McCoy. They write, it's not enough that the guy's won 38 games as a collegiate starter or that he's completed an NCAA record 77% of his passes. It's that he's the starting quarterback for the University of Texas. His name is Colt McCoy. Playing football against a quarterback named Colt McCoy is like playing cards against a guy who has the same first name as a city. If you're at any sort of felt-covered table and the guy sits down and introduces himself as Memphis, walk away. Do not question this. That was very, very well done. At any rate, for the last few years under Mack Brown, Texas is a very dangerous homecoming opponent. That was John Childs, who's been converted from quarterback to wide receiver and has 1 touchdown here tonight. Mack Brown, as coach of Texas, has never lost a game following the Oklahoma game. He's 11-0, win or lose against OU. That's pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. Right,
especially when he tells you that the 2 toughest weeks to coach when he's been the head coach in Austin, the week before OU and the week after, because of trying to get your team inspired on those 2 weeks.
Oh, off the deflection, the ball is caught. And that was Malcolm Williams off the deflection, right?
Yeah, Gatchkar had an interception, and it went right through his arms and then up into the air. He reads it again. He sits back in zone. Ball should have been intercepted. Very fortunate for Colt McCoy. Last week, Keenan Clayton had 2 interceptions that were dropped when he played against Oklahoma. This time, Gatchkar lets this one through his arms, and Texas catches a break.
Well, there's a penalty, and Missouri might have been offside. but they could have been pulled.
False start.
No, they were pulled.
Offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Ulatowski, the big left tackle. Herbie, I'm going to put the Texas fan base on alert. Okay, I think next week is a game to really be careful of in Stillwater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they can.
Pretty good offense.
Well, their offense
Okay.
is great, and they can run it and can throw it.
Second road game in succession. Okay. They're going to, if things continue this way, they're going to feel pretty good about themselves this week. First down and 15. Remember what happened in Lubbock last year? Drops off the screen now. And Whitaker unable to break free. And we certainly want to thank MetLife for these dramatic pictures here in Columbia, Missouri. On a beautiful homecoming weekend. MetLife has the protection you need for the most important ifs in your life. Visit MetLife.com today. Well, you were out in Provo today prior to the big one, and TCU having a huge night over BYU. Pretty good football team.
Well, TCU has already won 2 games in the ACC at Virginia and at Clemson, who had a big win over Miami, which helps TCU's cause in trying to move up the BCS standings.
McCoy in trouble. Instead of is that a late hit? There's no question. Number 85, and he's taking some abuse on the sideline from the coaches, and understandably so. Smith, that was a pretty easy one to call, sitting in your living room or in the bar. You throw the flag on that one.
That's a young.
After the play, personal foul, defense, late hit out of bounds, number 85, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's a young freshman making a freshman mistake here, chasing after the Heisman hopeful and out of bounds, and he just runs him over right into the Texas sideline. Mack Brown was beside himself over there.
Yeah, you want to be careful. Like you say, redshirt freshman and inexperienced. Obviously, Steckel lectured him at the half and picks up the penalty now that moves the ball down inside the 30. And coming in motion with DJ Monroe, who's got speed. Let us go to New York. Matt Weiner for an update. Matt, the Spartans could also win games.
Not over yet.
But Moyaki, maybe he can get loose out of
Harold
FC.
Johnson, Koulianis, never know.
Let's see what happens. And I thought that was going to be a tough game. I thought that, and again, what we're talking about with Texas applies tonight to Iowa. They had won in Madison, and now on the second week road trip in succession, they're up in East Lansing, and it is not easy to go on the road 2 weeks in a row when you're playing a good football team.
Well, especially when you have a huge target on your chest because you're an undefeated team, and everybody's talking about can you remain unbeaten, and everybody wants to try to knock you off that pedestal.
Third down and 3. Well short of the first down marker. That was Danny Buckner's second catch of the night, and Gooden makes the play.
Another bad snap here for Colt McCoy. Even though he's been able to handle these bad snaps, it just affects his rhythm, and it affects his ability and flow of a certain play and the timing of a play. And that time he got the ball out late because of that snap.
So here comes Hunter Lawrence to attempt the field goal. Shipley will put it down from the left hash. Lays it up and good from 39 yards out. 38-7. The Longhorns rolling tonight in Missouri. He said, would you say you are looking live at Shakespeare Pizza? I said, I can't do it. It'll be on tape. There's the kickoff now. It'll be fielded back in the, he'll take it to the end. It'll come out on the 20-yard line. 38-7. 3:46 remaining here in the third quarter. New quarterback for Mizzou, Jimmy Costello from Liberty, Missouri. He's only a sophomore, so he comes in, and as you might expect, he hands off. The running back was Derek Washington on his first play of the game.
You called for it, Brandon. Definitely a smart decision by Gary Pinkel and his staff, down 38-7, trying to get a quarterback, Blaine Gabbert, through this football game without seriously injuring that right ankle. He looks like he's tweaked it again, and good call on going to the backup, Costello.
So Costello with 5 receivers out to his left, and threw a little safety screen in underneath to Jackson. And now this is the rest of their schedule. And even though they have 2 losses already, figured to get 3 at Colorado, Baylor, at Kansas State, Iowa State, and Kansas. That is a manageable schedule the rest of the way. What they're going to sell the players is they're not out of the battle for the Big 12 North title, even though they face an uphill battle. But they play all the comers now the rest of the way. So if they get that ankle healthy, they don't face a team the rest of the way as good as Texas in the regular season. And by the way, congratulations to Iowa State. I know Nebraska made one mistake after another today, but Iowa State going into Lincoln and beating the Cornhuskers, that's something. This young man, just get that ankle healthy.
Yeah,
he'll be fine.
I don't know who's going to win the Big 12 North, but you're right. After Nebraska losing last week to Texas Tech and now today to Iowa State, it is wide open.
Harry punts. And it'll roll dead down inside the. Hey, Matt Weiner, tell me, did the Hawkeyes come through as I told you? What a story unfolded tonight up in East Lansing. And the Hawkeyes, all they do is just keep on winning. And now it is first down and 10 for Texas. And Iowa, of course, they're dreaming of some big rewards at the end of this season, too, as Whitaker, the ball carrier for the Horns this time. The Hawks certainly now in control of their own destiny as far as the Rose Bowl is concerned. Should they go into Columbus and beat Ohio State, they, in all likelihood, I don't want to count anybody else out in the Big Ten, but they certainly would be in good shape. Remember, they've already beaten Penn State. They have gone through Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State all on the road. Second down and 6 now for McCoy. And using the big back. So we came into the day when Johnson, what a powerful running back he is. There are the Elite 7. The unbeatens, and you can see TCU, Iowa, Cincinnati, and Bama barely surviving. Texas appears headed for a win. Boise State, if you want to stay up till 2 or 3 in the East, you can find out about that Hawaii score here tonight. They're heavily favored in that game, I would think, even though it's over on the island. And Colt McCoy picks up the first down. Herbie?
New coming into today that of all the unbeatens, it looked like, at least on paper, that Alabama and that Iowa would probably be the 2 teams that could potentially be challenged a bit. And Tennessee's defense kept them in that game in Tuscaloosa. And Michigan State at home with Mark D'Antonio, always dangerous. And those 2 teams both survived. But boy, oh boy, was it a lot of work to be able to get those wins.
Underneath the Kirkendall. And Kirkendall run out of bounds at the 48-yard line on that far side. Another team deserves some praise in the Big 12. I do not want to overlook what Bill Snyder and Kansas State are suddenly doing in the Big 12
Second and
North.
4, Texas.
Comes back as the coach. Nobody gave him much of a chance. And Colt McCoy stays on his feet. Still coming in. Now he's down. That was great balance there by the Texas quarterback.
It was. I couldn't tell if he lost a towel or his cleat. Looked like maybe his towel. There's Alden Smith, who hit him earlier. Yeah, he grabs a hold of his towel. But good balance, good effort there. Colt McCoy trying to improvise to make a play, but at least he gives himself and this offense a chance to execute here on 3rd down.
3rd down and 6. A 38-7 Texas lead here. Closing 30 seconds of the 3rd. Short of the first down.
Doesn't affect you in this game, but for Kirkendall next week or games coming up, you've got to work up another 2 or 3 yards to give Colt McCoy and this offense a chance to get a first down. That way, if you're hit when you make the catch, it's an automatic first down.
Colt McCoy is 26 of 31 tonight for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. We'll return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. So we welcome you back for the 4th quarter with Texas leading Missouri 38-7. And the Longhorns will be punting here to start the quarter. And using that rugby style was Tucker, eating up a couple of seconds, and this will roll down and just on the edge of the sideline. And another reminder that Monday Night Football coming on here. They'll get a look at the youngster in the fourth quarter. Acho still out there. There's King Robinson, Aaron Williams. And fine run this time by Devin Moore for the first down. Beasley, some of the subs are out there right now for the Texas defense.
Whether it's the subs or not, there's a good-looking group of running backs from Missouri. Derek Washington leads the way as the junior, but Devin Moore's had his chance, and also Kendall Lawrence. A nice trio in the backfield to try to, as this offense, as you said earlier, tries to continue to get better and better this year. They've got some good backs to work with.
The running game has been impressive. Moore again. The freshman Lawrence had some good runs. Washington, we know, is a veteran. If they hadn't fallen so far behind, they would have a pretty good looking running game right now. But of course, when you're looking up from a 38-7 deficit, you've got to strike downfield, and that just changes what you can call offensively. Probably had to limit some of the plays with Costello coming on here in the fourth quarter. Probably not as familiar with the offense as Blaine Gabbert. Chase Daniel, of course, had it all memorized. He knew as much as the coaches, having played at South Lake High School in Texas. Spinning off, and a fine move by Moore for the first down. And Herbie, let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves, and what we've seen tonight from Texas, dominating this game, getting up big, and second half just kind of maintaining that lead. But Colt McCoy, second half hasn't been as dominant as he was in the first half. But still 26-31 for 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just the 1 interception.
Costello snatched out of the air for a 1st and 10 by Alexander at the 45. Let's check in down below with Lisa.
Well, Brent, you mentioned Chase Daniel. I actually spoke to him last night. Just want to give folks an update on what he's been up to. He didn't get drafted, but he signed a free agent contract with the Washington Redskins. Got waived. They did say that he could run their practice squad, but he decided to look for another opportunity and found one with the New Orleans Saints. He's the 3rd string quarterback behind, obviously, Drew Brees and Mark Brunell, but says it's a wonderful learning opportunity. He said, I couldn't ask for a better guy to learn from than Drew Brees. So he's watching, and he probably doesn't like what he sees right now, but Chase Daniel's doing well.
And Lisa, it's interesting you mentioned Mark Brunell. There's the handoff to Lawrence, the freshman running back, who's brought down to 39. But looking at Coach Gary Pinkel over there, when he was an assistant coach out at Washington, okay, Mark Brunell was one of his quarterbacks. He was coaching that position for Don James. So he's got Mark Brunell and Chase Daniel. And so he sent Chase a little text the other day. He says, how's the old guy doing? And I mean Mark Brunell got right back on him. He said, well, what old guy are you talking about? Second down, snaps it off, and intercepted on the deflection. Picked off by Chucky Brown. And Brown is to the 47-yard line.
Costello, it's not his fault. The sophomore, former walk-on, puts his football where his receiver can have a shot at it. Just goes right through his hands, right into Brown's.
Texas all night long. Well, there's the rock pile, the M. You go to one of the end zones, and you see a lot of the students.
Looks comfortable, doesn't it?
Yeah, those are the most comfortable rocks in the state of Missouri. And the new quarterback is in. That is Garrett Gilbert handing off to Trey Newton. So a true freshman, Garrett Gilbert, familiar last name. His dad, Gail Gilbert, longtime NFL quarterback. So here comes the freshman, homegrown out of Austin, Texas. And Nate Newton's son is right there in that backfield with him. Number 23 switches over to the right. And Gilbert deflected. And penalty flag is thrown on the play. Witherspoon was a linebacker.
defense. Uninterrupted on the quarterback. 15-yard penalty. First down.
And it looked like Smith who rolled in on him. He hit Gilbert. Jagwees Smith. This was number 3 who got him. So Colt McCoy was 26 of 31 tonight, 269, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and those 26 completions to 8 different receivers here tonight. And more importantly, he has his team up by 31, 38-7. And here is the handoff to DJ Monroe, and Monroe picks up the first down.
26, Monroe, the ball carrier.
DJ Monroe, a former receiver who they put back at running back this year, and you could tell when he comes in motion, full acceleration, he is a threat to get to the edge, and you better be ready. Again, second time that Baston has had to limp off, but Monroe, he's kind of a nice little bit of a wrinkle within this offense that they've added with Fozzie Whitaker over the last couple of weeks.
First down and 10. Gilbert suffers a loss, and we go to New York to check in with Matt Weiner again. Matt? Oh, you know, I can't give away all my secrets, you know. Second down and 11. On the incomplete and in and out of Child's hands. Looks like Gilbert's got a little bit of a fastball.
Well, this young man, Garrett Gilbert, one of the most highly touted quarterbacks coming into this freshman class, up there with Matt Barkley and some of the others. You can see the velocity on the ball, and I think it catches Childs off guard. Now, don't get me wrong, Colt McCoy has a very strong arm too, but this is fun. Get a chance to see Garrett Gilbert, who's going to take the reins of this Texas offense next year, and this is the future quarterback and running this school offense next year.
Down goes Gilbert. This is Aldon Smith.
Well, Aldon Smith, outside of that late hit on Colt McCoy, he's had a great game.
Fourth down. Hunter Lawrence to try and put Texas up into the 40s. Let's make this a 44-yard attempt for Lawrence. Right down the middle. 41-7. Longhorns putting the voters to the test this weekend. Columns there in the background, the campus icon that once stood as the Academic Hall, the first building that burned down in 1892. And only those columns survive. The backdrop for our Longhorn and Mizzou helmets here tonight. After the field goal, Texas with the ball on the tee. And looks like all of the contenders really faced problems today except Texas. USC with time running out in that game leads Oregon State, but only by 5. And Lawrence kicking it off. And I want to take you to the Heisman watch. There's one thing that I've felt about the Heisman over the last few years, Herbie. Look for the teams on top that are headed for the BCS championship. You will find your Heisman Trophy winners. So if we do it that way, if we define it, we put McCoy back in the race, even though he's had a hard time. There is Tim Tebow, 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Colt McCoy, 14-8. We've talked about him. But Mark Ingram of Alabama went over 1,000 yards with his performance today. So count him in the mix right now. Dropped off by Costello. And that's the Washington. Let's go to Matt now and get still another update. Matt down on about a minute and a half. And Matt, I'm calling USC an early winner. But I'm from Illinois. Dewey wins presidential election or whatever it was on the trivia. Can't trust my word for things like that. 8:50 to go here, and the running back is Derek Washington again. Herbie?
The Heisman race at this point is wide open. If I had to vote today, I would put it in for Mark Ingram from Alabama. He's been the most consistent, the most impressive. I think you make a good point. It seems like anymore the Heisman Trophy award often goes, it's almost become a team award. And the team that, look at the finalists over the last 5 or 7 years, it's the teams that are undefeated or with 1 loss. The exception of the rule to that this year could be if Jimmy Clausen and Notre Dame can win out, and if he can put big numbers up the rest of the year, you know his name's going to be up there surfacing as well.
I mean, having 8 minutes left here. Costello replaces Gabbert, and he'll be short of the first down. It'll bring up a 4th down here inside of 8 minutes.
The other thing about, trying to figure out your top 3, you know what's unique about it? Again, it's subjective, it's fun, you debate it, but because 2 of these teams are from the same conference, it almost becomes irrelevant because all 3 control their own destiny, at least as far as I'm concerned. If Texas wins out and they win the Big 12 championship, they're going to be in the national title. If Florida wins out, they're going to be in the national title. And if Alabama wins out, they're going to be in the national title.
Well, here's an update. The Trojans just scored again. Put it in the W column. Fair catch. We'll take a timeout. Here it's the number 3 team in the nation. Roll it. Next week for USC, Oregon. John Fogerty. MetLife providing today's aerial coverage. Visit MetLife.com and learn more about MetLife's long history of providing coverage at major sporting events. Yeah, the Horns have been mistreated by those voters, but not after tonight. And here's their young quarterback, Gilbert, handing it off. And a reminder to stay tuned for the Ford wrap-up coming right after the game as Vondrell McGee carries for the first time tonight. I'm going to go back on Gilbert out of Austin. He went to Lake Travis High, and EA Sports named him the Football Player of the Year. Herbie talked about the fabulous high school record that he had, and so there is the Texas future. So the president is standing over there on the sideline, having had a fine night's work. Colt McCoy, and the Horns are going to stay unbeaten. Next up, the Cowboys of Oklahoma State down there in Stillwater. There's McGee. And knocked down for a loss by Aldon Smith. Aldon Smith looks like he's a pretty good football player.
Well, what a great opportunity.
You see the rain here?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, sir. It's coming down. What a great opportunity for Garrett Gilbert, though, as a freshman to learn from Colt McCoy. It's one thing to be able to come in and be a high school superstar. It's another thing to have that first year. He's not redshirting. He's going to get a chance to play some, but a chance to pick the brain of Colt McCoy, one of the best to ever play at your school. And Colt, of course, is more than willing to offer up any tips and suggestions that may help Garrett Gilbert down the road.
McGee again. Texas very content to work on the clock here. Bring it down. We're at 5:45. Game well in hand. The Longhorns scoring on their first 3 possessions. They even blocked a punt for a touchdown just before the end of the first half following a timeout. Mack Brown and the players have done a superb job taking care of business up here tonight.
3rd down and 6 for Texas.
3rd down and 6 for the Horns. Well, we got a penalty.
False start.
False start.
Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Yeah. Part of the pep band here tonight. Up from Austin.
Following the penalty, ball 37. 3rd down and 11.
So 3rd and 11 for young Garrett Gilbert, son of Gail. I'll tell you what, he's got a bit of a rocket for an arm. This is the first time I've seen a young man in person. He can flatten fire. He throws better than you, Pops.
Yeah. He's got a great future. also can run. He's going to fit into this offensive style that they've run these last 4 or 5 years perfectly.
Inside of 5 minutes now. 41-7. John Gold will be our punter here this time. Geddes is back deep for the Tigers. Geddes going to bring this one back, and he's surrounded down at the 32-yard line. Let's take a break. We come back, we're going to talk about how tough this Texas defense has been. I mean, they have beat up quarterbacks all season long. Here's how brutal Muschamp's defense has been. Potts knocked out by Kendall briefly. Then Bradford taken down on a blitz by Williams and out of the OU game. Here tonight, Gabbard knocked out of the game finally with that gimpy ankle. And so this defense takes second to nobody, SEC or any other conference right now.
They put a lot of pressure on you at every level.
Here's the backup quarterback handing it off to the freshman Lawrence. Modern Family, Herbie, is the #1 new comedy of the fall. All the critics and all of America can't stop laughing and talking about ABC's Modern Family, 9/8 Central on ABC Comedy Wednesday. So I want you to watch that for me and
I'll give you
a review.
I will.
Okay.
I'll give you the report next week.
You and your wife.
What Wednesday? 9 Eastern.
It is.
Okay.
9 in Columbus, Wednesday night. Modern Family. 2nd down and 8. Jimmy Costello from Liberty, Missouri. Pulling back, looking downfield, picked off, intercepted. Blake Gideon, the sophomore safety, picks it off for Texas, but there is a flag down. But the Mizzou
interference off number 81. Penalties decline. First down, Texas.
That's Alexander committing the infraction, and so Gideon, just the secondary, thrown up too back here.
Well, the corners get a lot of attention along with Earl Thomas, but Blake Gideon also, he's getting healthier, and I think that's important for him. He's been in the lineup more the last few weeks, and I think his confidence continues to grow. He was a freshman last year, starting in the Big 12, made some good plays last year, but now I think he is becoming more of a young man you can trust and completely rely on as a safety, and it's his 3rd interception on the year.
Hills comes in as the running back. So he is the 6th running back used by the Hornets. Jeremy Hills. And Jeremy, we're about to say, all right, Herbie, under the gun, my life.
Yeah, this
Your
is
top 5. Here you go now.
We're going to get Lisa involved here with the helmets. Is this the new top 5? This is the old top 5, because you see Miami, you got Alabama, Florida, and Texas, and USC. You got to take Miami out. Miami lost in overtime. They're out. And we're going to, let's see, we're going to bring in Iowa. And then the top, Lisa, let me get back to you here on this top 3. We'll get right back to you. You're looking great down there with those helmets, by the way. You're doing a great job. I got to figure out these top 3.
All right, you think about that. I'll take, Gilbert and the Horns will try to run the clock down a little bit further. They're coming down toward 3 minutes now. And Hills breaks on that backside, trying to get the first down. Reaches out for it and is just a little bit short. So now we go, Herbie.
All right, Lisa, move Texas to 2. And then Alabama to 3, and then Florida to 1. And actually, I was just messing with you to mess with those helmets. Alabama's at 1, Florida's at 2, and Texas is at 3.
Lisa, put
just just like that.
Put that Texas back at 2.
Just like that.
You got to put Texas back at 2. Herbie, how can you do that?
I'm looking at the body of work for the whole season.
What do you mean body of work?
For the whole season.
Why would you not put Texas ahead of Alabama?
Because Alabama, I have it #1. Alabama's been the most consistent team all year.
I mean, come on, Herbie. This is 41-7.
All right.
I think all that jet travel's getting to you.
I love Texas. I have Texas going to the national title in a game you and I are going to be playing against the Florida Gators.
I want to be getting along with them before we get there.
Well, we love that they control their own destiny. There's nothing to worry about. You're fine, Texas. Just keep winning.
I'm messing with you.
No, but I put them at 3. What Alabama did today at home in a rivalry game, even though it was close, is more impressive than beating a...
They're at home. They're at home, and they had to block a field goal at the end of the game to win that game, and you're watching a team come on the road, coming off their biggest rivalry game of the year,
like this,
and they put 41 points up on Missouri.
Has Texas looked like this all year?
No, but I thought their defense was awesome last year.
Yeah, their defense has been great all year. It's the first time all year we've seen their offense. Now, if they keep doing this all year, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. The greatest thing about this debate is Texas, Florida, and Alabama all control their own destiny. There's no argument. It doesn't matter if you're 1, 1A, 2B, 3, 1, 2, or 3. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Your SEC 2 team, Florida and Alabama stay unbeaten.
And then
and
one
they
of them
have
loses.
a great championship game.
If Texas is undefeated,
rematch
Texas is in.
Trust me.
Well, for me.
But you know the BCS, you got a chance. Hey, listen, enough of this. I think Texas should be number 2. Nah, listen.
A one-loss SEC.
How can I get a vote? Who do I have to call?
A one-loss SEC, you think?
I'm thinking if it's a great game, you've got to always beware of what the BCS.
You're going to have the vocal minority saying that.
Okay.
But the rest of the real world, if Texas is undefeated, they're in the national title.
Well, a reminder to stay tuned.
A fun argument.
After the game, for your late local news over most of these ABC stations, over on ESPN, tune over to SportsCenter for post-game analysis, as well as today's scores and highlights. There's the Bills, I believe, again down there. Got the clock down to the last minute, Herbie. And what weaknesses did you see with the Horns that causes you to keep them number 3?
Well, I was just saying, there are no weaknesses. I mean, that's the great thing. I think their offense is going to continue to get better. I thought seeing Goodwin and Malcolm Williams in there, the biggest thing that Mack Brown did is early in this game, he clearly got a message across to his team that even though you're better than Missouri at every position, respect them. Come in focused, play with energy, eliminate this opponent right away, and they did that within the first 4, 5, 6 minutes of this game.
Here's Garrett Gilbert now on 4th down. Hills with the handoff. Stopped in the hole, and it'll go over now as Witherspoon still on the field. And, of course, Herbie, I can remind everybody that the chase. Martin is still there. And Mack wants that prevent. That's the signal for the prevent when you say back up, back up. That's the deal.
Yeah. No mistakes.
Defense yanks down.
You know, by the way, in that top 5, trying to figure out 6, 7, and 8 with what Iowa's doing, with Oregon, with TCU, with Boise State. LSU seems to be getting better. It's getting pretty interesting in the top 10.
Ladies and gentlemen, the University.
There you have it, a 41-7 Texas victory here tonight. Keeps them unbeaten and on track. Mack Brown and Jerry Pickle consoling him. And they've done it in an impressive fashion. 41-7 over a Big 12 North opponent here tonight. Now Mack Brown and several of the players from the other team. Mack always makes an effort to talk to some of the other players. We want to thank you for watching ESPN on ABC. Now we take you to Times Square for the Ford wrap-up. Take it away, Matt Weiner.
Top 10.
All right, John and Linda, nice to be with you. A very impressive performance. What was it, 26 of 31 for 269 for Colt McCoy. His best game of the year, I think you would agree.
Yeah, I think Colt McCoy came out and he made a statement. But I think the most impressive thing for Texas is it's the week after Oklahoma. Always a tough week emotionally. You're on the road. You're trying to not only win the game, but win impressively to show people you are one of the premier teams in the country. And boy, oh boy, you just saw with John in the highlights. I mean, they came out right away, took it to Missouri. Colt McCoy was on fire, got off to his best start of the year. Shipley was involved. What was interesting, and they didn't show on the highlights, is the second series that Texas had the football, right around midfield, it was 4th and 2, and it looked like Missouri had stopped them. Mack Brown, being aggressive, calls a fake punt, keeps the drive alive. They go down and put 14 points on the board. Before you can even settle in, the game is pretty much over, and Mack Brown and this Texas team deserve all the credit for coming in and being aggressive.
You didn't see that fake punt on their highlights? I saw the fake punt.
Well, the fake punt, but the attitude from Mack Brown. You couldn't see the energy, and, he was the punt was there, but the attitude from Mack Brown was amazing throughout the entire football game. He had a look in his eye, and his team played with that same look.
All right, well, after the game was over, Lisa Salters caught up with the hero of the night, Colt McCoy.
Colt, you ended up the game 26 for 31, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns and interception. What made the passing game so effective for you tonight?
We just executed. It starts up front with the offensive line. They did a tremendous job protecting me in the first half, and we had a few receiver switch-ups, and we made it work. It's awesome weather. Thank God the weather was awesome, and, just give God the glory.
What was so important about hooking up with your go-to guy, Jordan Shipley, early? First play of the game, you guys got into a rhythm early. Why was that so important?
Right. He's a playmaker. We've got to find ways to get him the ball, and he did a great job. And our defense played great, and it was a solid team win tonight.
First quarter, you guys converted a fake punt. What message that's at midfield, no less? What message did you want to send early about how aggressive you were going to be?
We just wanted to put points on the board early and give our defense something to play for. They've been playing lights out all year long, and when we can come out and play effective and efficient like we did in the first half, that really helps our football team.
And speaking of points, the scoreboard says 41-7. Your critics have said that Texas doesn't win impressively enough. What do you hope that score up there says to those folks?
Well, a win's a win for us. We played great in the first half, and we played a little sloppy in the second half. We need to be able to finish games, but tonight we're very proud of the way we played.
All right, thanks a lot. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Lisa, and of course, next week, Herbie, that's a tough trip now to Stillwater to play Oklahoma State. 2 road trips in a row. Oklahoma State's got some firepower. Texas must beware next week.
Well, Texas knew there were 3 weeks within their middle of their season when they played Oklahoma this game against Missouri on the road, and then next week at Oklahoma State, where they really had to show up and bring their A game. They've done that now for the last couple weeks. Do they have enough gas left in the tank when they go to Stillwater? My guess is yes, but you're right. Of all the teams that they have played, the team they're playing next week has by far the most offensive firepower that they've seen.
So Texas now, John and Linda, they will turn this performance over to the voters. We'll see if they make a move on number 2. As you know, Alabama in a big struggle against Tennessee today. Let's send it back to you in the studio.
Iowa has a rich football tradition, but the Hawkeyes had never, their entire history, been 8-0. Kirk Ferentz taking his team on the banks of the old Red Cedar to take on Michigan State. Kirk Cousins, Brian Linthicum, all a little trickeration. Hook and lateral, shades of the Boise State play. Linthicum to Blair White. White runs it beautifully, Lou.
Just very well executed. They needed a big play. It was right near the end of the game. They were down.
Under 2 minutes to go. Sparty down by 3. Cousins firing. The Blair White Project. Touchdown. Cousins 16-32, 2:25, and Iowa looked to be sunk. 3rd and 8, under a minute to go. Ricky Stanzi, Trey Strauss, 21 yards, first down, and now they're getting deep in the green and white territory. Stanzi to Daryl Johnson-Collanos.
A terrific job by Stanzi, hanging into the pocket under pressure right here, delivering the ball for first down.
Now a 1st and goal. From the 1st and 10 from the 15. Stanzi up top. Chris Rucker interception. Game over. There was a flag on the play. They called defensive holding, and Iowa's still alive. Ball down the 7. Stanzi. Rucker breaks it up, intended for Moeaki. 2nd down. Stanzi to nobody. 3rd down, 5 ticks to go. Got to get rid of it quickly on the slant. No good, Ferentz. The picture of calm and composure. And on 4th down with 2 seconds left, Stanzi to Marvin McNutt, and Iowa gets it done.
What happened is they gave away the inside route. You cannot give away the inside route when you do not have free safety help.
15-13, Iowa stays unbeaten, 8-0 for the first time ever. Glad to have you with us. College football final off to a roaring start. Reese Davis and my Hall of Fame partners, Lou Holtz, Mark May, you've already heard from them. Hey, Ferentz says we might not be the prettiest car on the lot, but we're having fun, and they're getting it done, and they find a way again.
And extremely resilient. They've been through a couple of bouts with the flu bug, injuries up front, but they get the job done each and every week.
You know, just finding a way to survive in advance, Lou, sometimes the most important thing.
You don't have to be in the driver's seat, but you do need to be in the car, and they stayed in there. The amazing thing about Iowa is they found a way to win. But I cannot understand. Michigan State, for the most part in that last drive, rushed 3 people and yet gave up several plays over 20 yards.
But still, Iowa has that 0 in the loss column. Alabama pretty much following a similar script against Tennessee, the second-ranked Crimson Tide. Nick Saban said he felt like his team was tired psychologically. Daniel Lincoln, his leg might be a little bit tired. Lincoln's coming back from an injury. He says his range isn't all the way back, and he wasn't quite strong enough on a 47-yard attempt at the end of the first half.
Oh, it was so close. 4 kicks. Any one of them goes the other way. Tennessee celebrating.
In the fourth quarter, still 9-3, 43 yards out. Big Terrence Cody coming through
Just barreling through. Terrific play by Mount Cody, splitting a couple of offensive linemen, pushing them out of the way and knocking it down.
He and Marcel Darius getting great push up front. In the fourth, Alabama going to salt it away now, up 12-3. Mark Ingram, the Heisman Trophy candidate, never in his career has lost a fumble. Until now. 322 touches in Tennessee. Dennis Rogan, Eric Berry getting it out of there. Great job by the Vols to give them one more chance. Ensuing Tennessee drive, Jonathan Crompton played very well against this Alabama defense. Threw for 265 yards, and with under 90 seconds to go, finds Gerald Jones. Give him 6. Volunteers in it. 12-10, but they've got to get the onside kick. Alabama's got the hands team, except the hands team can't handle it, and the Vols have it back with a chance to break their arch rival's heart. Auburn might be Alabama's biggest rival, but Alabama is Tennessee's biggest one, and they would love nothing better than to spoil the Tide's championship dreams. Crompton to Stockard, 23 yards, great catch.
Oh, tremendous catch, critical time. The momentum's going all the way towards Tennessee.
Here comes the clock. Tick, 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 tick. But no timeout. Afraid of a sack, afraid of a pick. Going to keep it on the ground, Mayday.
Absolutely. Run the ball to the left. Just make sure it's in the middle of the field to give you an opportunity to win the game.
From 44 yards out, Daniel Lincoln, 1 for 3 on the day. Crompton can't watch, but Terrence Cody can because the big fella's there in the middle.
Mount Cody splitting those linemen again. Look at him with glee. But it's a great job of staying low right here, getting penetration, and getting those big balls up in the air.
And Alabama, not a pretty victory, but one that works. 12-10, Lane Kiffin after the game.
Very proud of their effort, you know. They can't all of a sudden just become better players and win some matchups, you know, but they can. You can never discount effort, and our guys played today. They played extremely hard, they played extremely physical, and they kept coming versus the #1 team in the country.
You talk about how fragile a season is in terms of, you know, you're controlling the game, even though you may say it's, you know, winning ugly or whatever. We're still ahead 12-3 and totally control the game with 3 minutes and 29 seconds and the ball. And that's how fragile a season can be. Make one mistake, and you have to go overcome it.
If you're going to make mistakes, you at least want to be able to get away with them. Now, the question for Alabama is, can they find some effectiveness through the air in the red zone? Last year, John Parker Wilson, not too bad in the red zone, over 50%, but Greg McElroy has really struggled when they've gotten close. Had a couple of passes into the end zone in this game. They had to settle for field goals. He was 0 for 2 down there, 8 for 31 on the season. And, Mark, Tennessee completely sold out to stop the Alabama run, dared McElroy to beat them down the field, and Alabama hasn't been able to do that either in the red zone or up the field in the last 3 games.
And the Alabama offense is going to see a lot of this. They're going to see a lot of 8-man fronts to try to stop the running game of Alabama. The reason why, the first 5 games of the season, Greg McElroy threw 9 touchdowns and only 1 interception and completed 66% of his passes. But if you look at the last 3 games, it's a bad trend. He's completed just 52% of his passes without a touchdown and 2 interceptions. He has to reverse this trend if Alabama wants to be a championship football team and play for the SEC championship and the BCS championship. They may get away with this in the next couple of weeks playing their opponents, but once they face a Florida that has a great quarterback in crucial situations, I think that's where they may stub their toe, and it may even happen before then. They need to get better production.
Got LSU in 2 weeks.
Well, I think that the quarterback can hurt you. You don't necessarily need them to win them because their defense is so very, very good and their kicking game solid. They kicked 2 field goals, 149, 151 yards, and they blocked 2 field goal attempts by Tennessee. Tennessee outgained Alabama by 100 yards. But before everybody gets excited, I've said it many times on this show, if you're going to win a championship, you've got to be so lucky in 1 or 2 games along the way. This is one of those games where Alabama deserved to win because they played well. And as Coach Saban said, they had the game under control. But let's give a great deal of credit to Tennessee and that defense.
No doubt.
Yeah, I kind of disagree.
That is not the
bottom line is the reason why I disagree is because if you look at Tennessee, they outgained them in this game. They had opportunities to win this game. Without Terrence Cody blocking 2 field goal attempts, Alabama loses this game, particularly on that last drive. They're this close to losing this football game.
If they don't fumble, it's over. They're ahead 12-3. 2 scores. Just don't fumble. Boom.
Yeah, but how many opportunities for a head coach like yourself in a big game that you want to put your team in a position to win, as Lane Kiffin did with Tennessee? They did that. They got the onside kick. They went down and scored the touchdown before that, and you have your kicker lined up to kick a field goal that he should have made.
Yeah, well, Alabama, I think both sides are right. It depends on how you look at
right.
it. Okay, this is not final verdict yet. You both can be right here. Reasonable minds can differ. Both points are valid ones. Bottom line is that Alabama was able to escape and move on. The collision course with Florida, LSU still may have something to say about that. Then again, the Gators had to take care of their business, too. They were in Starkville. The Dan Mullins team ready to stand up against his old boss's crew. Tim Tebow, high snap, and then he ties Herschel.
Oh, Tebow with the stiff arm, but Herschel did his in 3 years, really.
49 career rushing touchdowns. Only the great Herschel Walker has had that many as Tebow goes in. And Florida has a 13-3 lead. Now, just before the half, Tebow picked off by Jonathan Banks.
Oh, you don't expect this to happen. It's right before the half. You're going to score. We got 3 in the ball. My goodness gracious. They go 99 yards the other way.
You know, Tebow threw 2 pick sixes on the night. He only thrown 1 in his whole career. Oh, Urban. And now, well, see, Coach, what I did was, and just before halftime.
Well, they're discussing it there.
But somebody said something about somebody's mama, I think. 16-13, Chris Rainey goes in. Rainey had 90 yards rushing. Gators missed the extra point, but they were in control. So it seemed. Dustin Doe would get the deflection and mark it to pick 6, except it shouldn't have been.
That's correct. And can the SEC officials get it right? It's been a few weeks. And not only get it right, they can't even get it right on replay.
Ball is out. Receiving that shot, Doe. Urban may still have a little something to say to him about securing that football. He got away with it. Touchdown stood. Florida wins the game 29-19. Now, Texas, people had said Texas was sloppy, hadn't played their best game. But they never lose after the Red River rivalry. Max never lost. 11-0, and against Missouri, they find Jordan Shipley early. Take another look here. Watch the safety, Kenji Jackson. What happens, Lee?
Oh, he just did right here. He gets caught up inside. Good blocking.
Shipley puts Texas up 7-0, and McCoy was razor sharp again. Mark, find Shipley.
You know, when you're roommates with somebody, you kind of talk about plays you're going to design, and if the defense comes up, you're going to pitch him the ball, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Defensive coordinator Dave Steckel wasn't really pleased. Texas yet another non-offensive touchdown. They lead the world in that category. I tell you, this Texas team, hey, defense is a little underrated. Offense looked great. They blow out Missouri on the road, 41-7. Got Oklahoma State coming up next week. Maybe Texas is number 1. Discuss. All coming up. USC had an old burr in their saddle come calling in the Coliseum against Oregon State. They've got a game against Oregon looming next week. We'll see how the Ducks fared on the road. And for the first time this season, we will spin the ACC Wheel of Destiny. Number 4, Boise State on the road against Hawaii. Warriors have had all kinds of injuries. Kellen Moore, Tyler Shoemaker. Shoemaker running free with Boise up by a count of 10-0. Greg Salas having a great season for Hawaii, second in the nation receiving yards per game at nearly 132, but struggling for extra yardage, put it on the carpet. Brandon Thompson was there to scoop it up, and that would set up Moore. Moore leads the nation in passing efficiency to Austin Pettis, who scored a touchdown in every game. Broncos continuing to pursue that dream of perfection. Sometimes paradise is found in the islands. USC taking on Oregon State. Beavers have won 2 of the last 3 meetings, including last year in Corvallis when they knocked the Trojans out of the championship game. Matt Barkley up top to Ronald Johnson.
A terrific throw by Matt Barkley, but a better catch by Ronald Johnson. Look at the concentration, laying out for the football here. Touchdown, USC.
Barkley 15 of 25, threw a couple of touchdown passes. Great to see Stephon Johnson. His first game since having the accident in the weight room, pumping up the crowd. Oregon State, boy, they played tough. Sean Canfield and Damala Adeniji. USC's lead is cut to 5. Alan Bradford went for a $147 tonight, Lou.
I'll tell you, this was just a great offensive display by both teams. The usually great Southern Cal defense did not show up.
36 points for the Beavers, but SC survives and advances 42-36. And USC, I mean, look, Oregon State always improves over the course of the season, but what was your reaction to the way the Trojan defense played?
Kind of shocked. If you look at the first 5 games for USC, they were outstanding on defense, giving up less than 9 points a game. If you look at the last 2 games, they've given up a total of 63 points against Oregon State and Notre Dame. I think this is a defense that really has to get much better when they're going to face Oregon next, because Oregon, after the loss to Boise, is averaging 38 points per game.
Well, remember, Oregon State beat Southern Cal last year when they couldn't stop Shaquille Rogers from running the football. And yet today, it wasn't the run that hurt Southern Cal, it was the pass, as I think the quarterback threw for well over 300 yards. But it was just a great punt return by Damian Williams that enabled Southern Cal to hang on. But it's a great football game. This has been such an exciting year. You sit here and you see games go back and forth, you go, wow.
And sometimes you never know when a team might get caught peeking ahead just a little. Not that the Trojans weren't focused on the Beavers after what happened last year. They do have a showdown looming next week against Oregon. And the Ducks were on the road against a team that was one time considered their #1 rival, Washington. But lately, Oregon so thoroughly dominated the series. It won the last 4. Average score had been 42. Actually, last 5. Average score had been 42-17. And they got things started with special teams. Tyrell Irvin recovering the block punt in the end zone. Oregon had a 2-point conversion to make it 8-3. And Jake Locker, it's 4th down, Mark. I know, but here's the 2-point conversion play. So Oregon does this. They count guys and see if they think they have a numbers advantage, and they take the 2 instead of the 1 if they can. Field goal attempt. Nate Costa picked it up and ran with it, kept the drive alive for Oregon in the early going. Then Michael James gets loose down the sideline.
What about the job Chip Kelly has done coaching this team? I told you guys he was going to be a great coach after that loss to Boise. They've done an outstanding job.
Revisionist history at work again, 43-19. Coming into the day, the only team without a conference loss in the ACC was also the same team that started the season 0-3 and lost at home to William and Mary. That was Virginia. And while that might sound like parity, in reality, it seemed that some separation had occurred. Miami was the highest-ranked ACC team, and the Hurricanes, along with Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech, seem to have separated themselves from the pack. But this is the ACC. And we all know that winners in the ACC are determined ultimately by the fickle findings of the ACC Wheel of Destiny. Please spin that wheel of fortune and go to Landshark Stadium, where the 10th-ranked Hurricanes are welcoming Clemson at 3-3, 2-2 in conference. The picture of mediocrity, or so it would seem, but not for C.J. Spiller, who breaks speed limits in the school zone when he starts returning kickoffs.
Look at that, high and tight with that football coach. Look at the speed going down the sidelines. How many safeties did they have for Miami?
They only had 1, but 4 wouldn't have helped them with that type of speed.
He's a 6th career kickoff return for a touchdown, 3rd this year. Wheel route, there's Spiller. I would go with 28 all the time. He has 7 touchdowns from 50 yards or longer this year. That's the second one of the game, and Clemson has the lead again, 21-17. Back and forth we go. Kyle Parker, Allen Bailey, Marcus Robinson scoop and score.
Just a bad decision there by Kyle Parker. Sometimes you just trying to scramble, going back, and he does give great effort, but not fast enough. Miami looks like they're going to be in control.
24-21 deep in the 3rd. Parker has a wide open Andre Ellington. Oh, couldn't connect. Dabo can't believe it. So how did he get so open? Look at this, Lou.
Well, what happened? You see him on the sideline, and they don't see him. Now, there's a rule. You have to be within 10 yards of the huddle before you can go take your position. You can't just, run out of bounds and step back in.
27-24, Miami had the lead. Ja'Cory Harris picked off by DeAndre McDaniel. McDaniel's second pick of the game. Harris threw 3 of them. McDaniel's got 7 interceptions this year. Next possession, DeCorey undaunted up top, Travis Benjamin.
He throws such a pretty deep ball. And the speed of Travis Benjamin, they're not going to catch him. Huge play for the Hurricanes.
Hurricanes back on top, 34-31, now under a minute to go. 4th and 1, Clemson has to get it to survive, and Jamie Harper, power back, gets it done. And Harper running it again and pulling tacklers with him, just short of the first down marker. Swinney wanting to make sure we watch the clock here. Going to have to clock the ball, get it stopped. To run down at the right time, go find the official. Let's call timeout. Clemson now going to try to tie the game, send it to overtime. Richard Jackson, toe meets leather, high enough, long enough. Overtime we go. In the free football time, Canes had to kick a field goal, but in the first 2 plays, Clemson went backwards a yard. And here's Parker. That is a frozen laser beam. Jacoby Ford, ball game. Parker threw for 326 yards and 3 scores, and Clemson beats Miami 40-37. And that result doubtless pleased Georgia Tech and Paul Johnson, who had lost to the Hurricanes this year, but it was the Cavaliers with no losses in conference play welcoming in Tech. Who hadn't won in Charlottesville since 1990. Josh Nesbitt pitched to Anthony Allen. He's hit by Razai Dowling, but he just keeps breaking tackles.
Well, he just keeps going. Great determination. You cannot throttle up that Georgia Tech offense the entire game.
Watch Jonathan Dwyer hit the truck stick on Chris Cook.
Oh, just run right through the defender. Oh, what a great run by Dwyer. That's a powerful run, determination.
Yeah, but they're there to stop passes.
Oh, come on, Coach. He lowers the boom right there. He was the hammer. The defender was the nail.
That's what you always told your defensive backs when you were a secondary coach.
Yeah.
Just stop the pass. You know what? Pitch relationship, something Johnson talked about this week, and I would say Nesbitt and Allen had a pretty good one. Allen over 100 yards, couple of scores. Tech ran for 362 and ran Virginia out of the building 34-9. So now the ACC standings go a little something like this. Georgia Tech beat Virginia Tech. They're in control, Mark.
I'm taking Georgia Tech. They're in the driver's seat right now. And the way that they run that option, no one's been able to really stop it. And just 1 loss in the conference with those 5 wins.
They still have to play Duke. Duke only got 1 loss.
2-1. And remember this. They put up a lot of points against Virginia Tech.
Now here is the complete mosh pit. On the other side in the ACC Atlantic, everybody with at least 2 losses, and it's not even a far-fetched scenario that NC State, who's been completely dreadful up to this point in the season, they're not even out of it.
I like Clemson. That was a big victory for Clemson today over Miami, but Florida State, I think that they got a lot of confidence in that victory over North Carolina.
Right, Clemson's in great shape. They've already beaten BC and Wake, and they have Florida State coming to their place. So Florida State, maybe a little confidence after beating North Carolina. Still to come on College Football Final. The Mountain West showdown that turned into a Mountain West beatdown. What do you do with TCU now? And a very emotional day in Morgantown as a fallen Husky is remembered in most dignified style and honored by a terrific game in the Big East. Last Saturday night, after UConn had beaten Louisville in a homecoming game, Jasper Howard, their star defensive back and return man, was stabbed to death outside a university dance. It's been a very difficult week for the Huskies as they tried to come to terms with the loss of their fallen teammate. It's been tough for other teams across college football as well. West Virginia, for instance, had players who knew Howard well and were very shaken emotionally by his passing and by his tragic slaying. The Mountaineer fans welcomed UConn into Morgantown today with the theme, "Today we are all Huskies." Mourning the death in Morgantown for Jasper Howard. Here is the reaction in Morgantown. Players on both sides wearing things to remember Jasper Howard, who was number 6. His jersey and his helmet making the trip from Stores. His family saying, of course, they wanted the team to play on. Edsel said he thought his team would play its heart out, and they did, but the opening kickoff of the game went to West Virginia's Tavon Austin.
Just very well executed, very well blocked, but only 1 safety by Connecticut.
98 yards. Mountaineers out to a 7-0 lead. 27 seconds left in the half. Cody Endress, Kashif Moore, and the Huskies, who had lost all 5 meetings to West Virginia by a combined score of 214-77, had the lead. Noel Devine has been sensational, Mark.
And a terrific job of reversing direction here and getting to the sideline. Noel Devine picks up a huge 63-yard gain for West Virginia.
Devine 6th in the country in rushing, averaging over 122 yards per game, and he did better than that in this one. 21-17, Endress. Right down the gut into traffic, picked off by Kent Richardson. Turns it all the way to the red zone, but football on the inside. It means that traffic can get to it. The Huskies have it back. Huge, huge break for UConn. A mere 3 plays later on 3rd and 8, Edsel's team backed up. Endress, Marcus Easley, house me.
Oh, just a great throw over inside. And this is an individual that hadn't played a great deal, but the last 2 games he's come on strong. He shows what great speed he has and takes it all the way. 88 yards for the touchdown. Go ahead.
Over 150 yards receiving, but Devine was not finished. And Noel Devine, a surname, also an adjective. Tiptoe, touchdown, 178 yards for number 7. Ensuing drive. UConn back in West Virginia territory, but Endress is nailed as he throws. Chris Neal with the interception, and UConn comes up just a little short, 28-24, Randy Edsall after the game.
We're a good football team. And, you know, the love and the compassion that they have for each other is unmatched. And it's a hurt locker room. It's a hurt locker room. But we will move forward. We will be stronger. But it's tough to take. I think he's proud of us, and he's disappointed that we didn't come out on the right side of the column today. But I know this, he's got to give us more strength, and now we got one more tough thing to go through on Monday. And we'll get through that and be ready to go next week.
There is no manual on how to handle a situation like this if you're a coach, but if there were one, I would think that Randy Edsall could offer it with the leadership that he's provided his young men after this tragedy.
Oh, he's done a great job, but the Jasper Howard family can be proud. The alumni of Connecticut can be proud. The coaches, the staff. I mean, this was a tremendous effort under very difficult circumstances. It was a great football game, but it shows you what college football is all about. The way the fans treated Connecticut, but just a marvelous game.
The UConn players played their hearts out, and they played a tremendous game today. But I think if you look at what the West Virginia fans, their players, and their head coach, Bill Stewart, the compassion that they showed and the dignity and the respect for this situation, I truly applaud them.
And we continue to offer our best thoughts, prayers, and best wishes for the entire Howard family, as well as UConn players as they continue to grieve the loss of Jasper Howard. UConn played a terrific game. West Virginia did likewise. Mountaineers come up with the 4-point win. Still to come on college football final. Notre Dame couldn't stop that streak against SC. What about the one against BC? Boston College was supposed to struggle this year. How about Coach of the Year Frank Spaziani? Show you how that one comes to an end. And the eyes of Texas upon the Longhorns, and they saw a virtuoso performance. TCU smashed BYU's BCS hopes 32-7 last year, but this time the game was in Provo, and BYU, they weren't thinking about revenge. Probably a good thing because they didn't come close to getting it. Jeremy Curley, noted for his running, pretty good arm. About the throw from Curley, Ludebar Johnson.
Tremendous throw, but what was so obvious was the speed of TCU versus BYU.
Particularly on defense, and Andy Dalton was outstanding, Mark.
Oh, what a terrific pass to the back of the end zone to Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young makes an outstanding catch. Another score for TCU.
Dalton, 13 of 24, 3 touchdowns, no picks here. This was going to go 75 to Antoine Hicks. And for the second time this year, BYU destroyed at home by a team with speed. First it was Florida State, then the Horned Frogs, 38-7 as they remain perfect. And this is what stands between Gary Patterson's team and a perfect season. The most notable opponent on here would be Utah, and they have them coming to Amon G. Carter Stadium.
Not only that, how about Wyoming? They're vastly improved this year over last year, but I think Utah, that's the big game that they've got to get through, but they have to continue to do it each and every week.
They are an impressive football team. If I was coaching, I don't care about Alabama, Texas, I would not want to play TCU.
Fast and nasty defense. Jerry Hughes was outstanding again, helping put pressure on Max Hall. Cincinnati also impressive, taking on Louisville. Tony Pike. Tony Pike just busied himself taking his Spanish class this week. They say he had a little surgery on his forearm. Watch Zach Collaros come out and just show off. Collaros to Armand Benz.
He can't throw. He's a runner. I saw him last week. He ran for hundreds of yards last week. But, boy, he showed an arm this week.
Isaiah Peed, Mayday.
You know, it doesn't matter who they put at quarterback at Cincinnati.
It really doesn't.
Perform well. Just insert quarterback, win a game.
And you know what? If you want to call that a system quarterback, well, that's a pretty good system to have. They had 5 quarterbacks last year and won the Big East. Collaros, I may have to bench him. He threw 2 incomplete passes.
Get him out.
Touchdown passes. They won easily and got themselves a keg of nails. ESPN's BCS expert Brad Edwards believes that the top 3 in the BCS will remain unchanged. Brad expects Texas to pass Alabama in the polls, but Alabama to hold the 2nd spot because of the computers. 4 through 9 is going to get dicey. It's going to be a toss-up. But, Mark, here's the real issue. Top 3 don't matter for Alabama, Florida, Texas. They'll make the game if they win out, unless you believe Cincinnati, TCU, Boise State, or Iowa should move into that top 3 above one of those teams in the championship chase.
I'll tell you, the way that TCU played today, if they continue to play like that, they have been very impressive to me, Coach.
But would you move them up there with
I would move
schedule?
them up. I'd move them up.
Ahead of Texas, Alabama, or Florida?
Well, not ahead of those 2, but I put them right behind them in 4th. The reason why is because when they played at Virginia, they won that game. They went to Clemson to beat Clemson. Those are impressive. And now going to Brigham Young and defeat them, 3 victories like that on the road.
What do you think, Lou? Would you move them up there?
I would move them up to number 4, absolutely.
What about Cincinnati?
Okay, but remember this. They are a lot like Virginia Tech was maybe 12, 14 years ago. Great defense, tough, didn't get the respect until they got Michael Vick.
And you know why you're talking about those TCU wins, Boise State's going, what about us beating Oregon? What about us beating Oregon? And meanwhile, Texas 1, 2, 3 doesn't matter. Longhorns probably control their destiny for the championship game. All they have to do is continue to win. Colt McCoy made sure that there was no drama in Columbia, Missouri. McCoy to John Childs, the former quarterback, 34 yards out. McCoy would throw 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to Jordan Shipley. This one from 13 yards out. Texas 41-7 over Missouri. Brent Musburger and Kirk Herbstreit called the game on ABC.
Well, the most impressive performance of the season for the Texas Longhorns, especially Herbie, on offense.
Yeah, they came out and I think really asserted themselves in this football game. And I think they really felt a sense of urgency from their head coach, Mack Brown. Going on the road after the big OU game in Dallas last week, they knew that there was the potential of a letdown a little bit and letting their guard down. But they did not allow that to happen. First drive, they score. Next drive, they get the ball back. They fake the punt. And they continue to attack throughout the entire football game. And I think their leader, the guy that they always turn to, Colt McCoy, along with Jordan Shipley, they were in tune early. I think it got the confidence established within this offense. Some of the adjustments that Greg Davis made, moving in Marquise Goodwin and Malcolm Williams, I think took some of the pressure off of Colt McCoy. But as you said, by far, Colt McCoy in Texas's best performance up to this point in the season.
And when the game was over, Lisa Salters caught up with Colt.
Colt, you ended up the game 26 for 31, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns and interception. What made the passing game so effective for you tonight?
We just executed. You know, it starts up front with the offensive line. They did a tremendous job protecting me in the first half, and we had a few receiver switch-ups, and we made it work. You know, it's awesome weather. Thank God the weather was awesome, and, you know, just give God the glory.
What was so important about hooking up with your go-to guy, Jordan Shipley, early? First play of the game, you guys got into a rhythm early. Why was that so important?
Right. He's a playmaker. We've got to find ways to get him the ball, and he did a great job. And you know, our defense played great, and it was a solid team win tonight.
First quarter, you guys converted a fake punt. What message did that, at midfield no less, what message did you want to send early about how aggressive you were going to be?
We just wanted to put points on the board early and give our defense something to play for. They've been playing lights out all year long, and when we can come out and play effective and efficient like we did in the first half, that really helps our football team.
All right, thanks a lot. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys, back
all right,
to you.
Lisa, and so with the struggles continuing in the SEC, you could make an argument that Texas should be #1 and not Florida or Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, you have Alabama that's been very consistent. Today they got a scare a little bit from Tennessee. You're right about with Florida the last 2 weeks, some struggles. Texas today flexed their muscles and show what they're capable of doing. It's going to be fun to see how this thing winds up this weekend.
Yeah, it's in the hands of the voters now.
Texas.
Now those voters, who knows? See how it plays out. Notre Dame and Boston College, there was no vote taken. Charlie knew that he had a 6-game losing streak to BC. Jimmy Clausen to Golden Tate. Notre Dame takes the lead. Under 5 minutes to go, Dave Shinsky, the former baseball player, actually threw for about 30-plus more yards than Clausen did on the day. It also was picked off as he threw it into traffic by Kyle McCarthy. McCarthy's second pick of the day. Boston College, another shot, 4th and 17. Shinsky to Gunnell.
Well, Boston College had 5 turnovers to Notre Dame 0, and you cannot turn the ball over 5 times and expect to win.
Gunnell had 10 catches, 179 yards, and here is the last of those 5 turnovers. Shinsky picked off by Brian Smith, and the streak is over. Notre Dame wins it 20-16. 6th straight game the Irish have played this season decided by 7 points or less. That is a school record. Still to come on College Football Final, there's another team that might control its destiny for the championship game. It's LSU. Mad Hatter might have found a little bit of offense against them. Why are you waving me off, Mark? Win against Alabama, win against Florida. Tough to keep them out. I'm just saying. And we'll also see who should be involved in changing college football and who shouldn't. Our chase for the Cup. LSU in the middle of the chase for the SEC and perhaps even the national crown, taking on Auburn. Mad Hatter had a week off to put some ball plays under his hat, and he found some passing plays for Jordan Jefferson and Terrence Tolliver.
A terrific job by Jordan Jefferson, putting the ball exactly where that wide receiver can get it. Nice play for the Auburn.
Boy, the wheels have come off the Auburn offense. Chris Todd, 8 of 14 for 47 yards and a great interception by Chris Hawkins.
Well, he had all kinds of time, too. Boy, what a great catch there. And he's on defense. Can you imagine how good those receivers are? Where's Brendan LaFell?
LSU gave the ball to Russell Shepard, the freshman, who Lesson said, we'll see if we can get him greased up and call his plays and see if we can have him ready for the game. He's a strong football player. Have a great day. 69 yards. Russell Shepard is a strong football player. Les's alma mater, Michigan. I can't stop talking like that. Taking on Penn State. It's your problem to talk like that. Joe Paterno hadn't won in the Big House since 1996, but boy, that was going to come to an end. David Moosman taps the ball, Tate Forcier out of the end zone for a safety. And they tried to explain it to Rich Rodriguez, and I'm sure Rich didn't want to hear it. Darrell Clark to Andrew Corley.
Clark had just a tremendous day here as he makes a great throw. Matter of fact, this is the best Penn State's offense has looked this entire year.
Found Graham Zug a couple of times, Mayday.
Terrific job by the offensive line protecting Clark. He drops it right in here for another touchdown pass for Penn State.
Clark 230 yards through the air and 4 touchdown tosses as Penn State hammers Michigan 35-10. Minnesota taking on Ohio State and Terrell Pryor, and sophomore quarterback had a very difficult week. A lot of criticism coming his way after the loss to Purdue, but he finds DeVere Posey open.
And, you know, coverage is really acceptable here for Minnesota if you'd like to cover a wide receiver running free down the sideline.
A couple of guys jumped the short route, left the long guy open. Zone read, stiff arm. Pryor had 239 yards passing, over 100 rushing, and finds the freshman Posey again.
Boy, this is just a great throw. He sets his feet. He shows the strength of his arm. And Posey is really going to be a special receiver.
38-7 is the final.
All rise.
We call to order the court of the final verdict. Within the last week, it has been announced that a political action committee had been formed. Its goal, create enough congressional pressure that college football in the BCS system would be replaced by a playoff. In a similar vein, Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah has asked President Obama to launch a Justice Department investigation into the way college football determines its champion. At issue before this court, should politicians become involved in football? I asked counsel to approach the bench, and Counselor May, you are asking me to issue a restraining order and immediately have these politicians cease and desist from becoming involved in the sport.
Absolutely, Your Honor. I think as taxpayers, citizens, and voters in this great nation of ours, our politicians should spend more time on more pertinent and important things. particularly like getting resources to our troops overseas, particularly in Iraq and Afghanistan. The economy right now is in the tank, Your Honor. They should be spending more time and attention towards that. We're almost reaching double-digit numbers in unemployment in this country, and we're giving money left and right to cash for clunkers, bailouts for AIG, bailouts for General Motors. I think there are more important things and more pertinent things that our politicians should be spending their time on because we elected them and put them in office for more important things. What say you, Mr. Holtz?
Well, as a taxpayer, I have very low expectations. I don't expect our Congress to read a 1,500-page stimulus bill before they spend $787 billion we don't have. I don't expect them to read the 2,500 pages in the health bill before we spend $1 trillion. I don't expect them to understand how we went $1.4 trillion in debt this past 12 months. But I do expect them to read the 36 pages of the Constitution, and they're small, and it isn't big. And I defy you to find somewhere in there where you should be worried about the BCS system. I'm an old man, Your Honor. I remember one time you could send a letter from New York to Los Angeles for 3 cents or make a telephone call for $24. Several years later, you can send a letter from New York to Los Angeles for 44 cents or make a call for 90 cents. And what do? They ask for an investigation of the telephone company. I'm not sure that we can do anything about it, but the Constitution holds up. Leave football alone. It's the one thing that's competitive. Not everybody gets a trophy. Not everybody can say we're number one, but there's always going to be people going to say, why aren't we? We had that at Notre Dame. Auburn's had it. LSU's had it. Southern Cal's had it. That's part of the game.
Very well put, Mr. Holtz. Also, Your Honor, I agree with Mr. Holtz, and here's the bottom line. We expect our politicians to govern. We don't expect them to be involved in entertainment or in sports. The bottom line is the fans are in control of sports because the fans are the ones that pay for the tickets. The fans are the ones that are watching it on television. They don't expect politicians to get involved with sports saying that you have to have a playoff, that you have to change what you do in sports every single year because we're politicians and we know what's better for the sport than people that are involved in the sport.
I think my ears are playing tricks on me, but it sounds as if the two of you agree.
Yes, well, we're being honest. See, everybody thinks that we're anti. We aren't. We agree on a lot of things. We agree that I'm usually right and he's usually wrong.
Well, I think I'm ready to render a verdict, and while stipulating that everybody out there should understand that neither the two barristers nor this court in particular are against a playoff system. If that comes about, that's fine. But I will rule in favor of Mr. May and Mr. Holtz and issue the restraining order against the politicians to stay out of college football. Court's adjourned. One time in the whole history of that entire bit, both of you leave happy. I have to do that more often. I get less grief because of it. Oklahoma gave Kansas a bunch of grief over the course of the day. And the plays of the day, some spectacular moments from another wild Saturday in this sport. Oklahoma, how would they react losing to Texas? 3 losses by 5 points this season. No Sam Bradford, hurt shoulder again. Landry Jones in against the Jayhawks. But it was Todd Reesing who was rocked and chalked. Dominic Franks read that one and jumped it for a pick 6.
Boy, I tell you talk about playing the quarterback's eyes. That was too easy.
Reesing, 3 interceptions in the first half. He'd only thrown 4 all season. Career worst day in terms of interceptions for Reesing. It's 14-6. Landry Jones threw for 252 yards, finds Adrian Tennell. The 9-yard touchdown. Then Jones to Chris Brown made it.
He does a nice job of spreading the ball, dumping it off to his back. Chris Brown, he takes it in for the score.
Boomer, 35-13. Jayhawks have now lost 2 in a row. Elsewhere in the Big 12, Oklahoma State readies for its showdown in Stillwater with Texas next week by thumping Baylor. And boy, I tell you what, I don't know if you can have an uglier loss than Nebraska did. 8 turnovers against Iowa State. 4 of them, Lou, inside the 5-yard line.
There aren't enough sleeping pills to get Coach Pelini to bed tonight. When that happens, he'll be up for a week.
An absolutely brutal performance by the Cornhuskers in losing the game. A good win for Paul Rhodes. Signature win and 1 win away from bowl eligibility for the Cyclones. Pittsburgh, a sleeping power in the Big East against South Florida, who just as the leaves change late every fall, South Florida falls off the face of the earth. Phil Stull to Jonathan Baldwin, 40-yard. Stull's been brilliant, Mark.
He's been outstanding the entire season, throwing the ball exactly where he has to, but it helps when you've got a terrific freshman running back in Dion Lewis, coach. Look at the moves he makes, taking it over to the sideline.
First back to go over 1,000 yards this year. Just a tremendous effort by that young man. Pitt is a solid team. Good offensive line, good running back, good passing, good defense.
And other backs join Lewis later on the 1,000-yard parade, but the freshman, the first one there, Panthers roll 41-14. UCLA and Arizona, I think it's fair to say the Wildcats are the wild card in the Pac-10. Nick Foles, great protection. He gave it up, threw it to the wrong team a few times. He finds Jerron Kreiner. Oh, and Courtney Viney just got schooled.
A terrific move here. But ever since Nick Foles has taken over the offense for Arizona, they found ways to score points, and lots of points. He made mistakes in this game, but they still came through with points offensively.
You know, Ayers couldn't believe he dropped it. No whistle was blown. It was ruled a backward pass, so Tony Dye would pick it up and go score a touchdown. Arizona had 5 turnovers on the day. They were able to overcome it. Nick Booth, I tell you what, UCLA just can't score. Norm Chow must be pulling his hair out. 27-13, the final. Plays of the day. Arkansas at Ole Miss. This was a pivotal game for the Rebels. Ryan Mallett fires it. Carlton Salters. Carlton, your touchdown man. Worth another grab. Tip drill, Lutz, why you coaches do that stuff, right?
Well, you work on it. You have to. Only good things happen when you go to the ball. Always go to the ball.
Ole Miss wins it 30-17. Here's C.J. Spiller taking the kickoff back, 6th of his career, 3rd of the season.
And each and every week, C.J. Spiller comes up with a huge play of 50 yards plus for a score. Here he takes it 90 yards for the score.
I don't think C.J. will return another kickoff for a touchdown all year because I think everybody's going to be afraid to kick it to him the rest of the year. Squib kicks. Dave Shinsky, more tip drills. Kyle McCarthy picks it off, his 2nd interception of the game, Lou.
No, this was big. BC had 5 turnovers, and Notre Dame had none. Consequently, Notre Dame wins.
Big Terrence Cody, 2 blocked field goals, none more important than the one that saved Alabama's undefeated season. Big Terrence Cody has been asking to get the ball on the goal line. After blocking those field goals, Saban may have to give it to him. Oregon State and USC, Matt Barkley to Ronald Johnson.
What a sweet catch by Ronald Johnson. Great pass, but a prettier catch by Johnson laying out for the score.
Trojan offense getting it done. Been riding the defense early. Offense tuned up as they head to Oregon next. Helmet stickers being handed out of plenty. Some big statistical days, some guys who had big moments. We'll see who collects them when you come back. Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Head ball coach. His team always seems to find a way to play it close. Steven Garcia going up top to D.L. Moore. D.L. juggled it for a long time. They gave him 6, Mayday.
Terrific job. I don't know why they gave him the touchdown here. I disagree. The SEC officials, another bad call, but still they had the foresight to catch the ball.
Rough couple of weeks. The SEC guys are saying, can't you just make it easy for us?
No.
Maybe it was all just a push because that let South Carolina kick off to Vanderbilt, and then Warren Norman takes it back the other way. Bring the score even, so maybe no harm, no foul. Justice served, tied at 7.
No.
Well, that's just because you're a contrarian. 10-7, Vanderbilt had the lead. Garcia to Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh, this is just a great throw there. The speed of the young man just scores a winning touchdown.
South Carolina. You got Tennessee coming up, 6-2, bowl eligible, and over 500 in the SEC. Helmet Sticker Award. We, of course, give a T-shirt signed by us to the schools that win stickers. Let's hand them out. Get cranked up, Mayday.
Clemson running back C.J. Spiller, 88 yards rushing, 104 yards receiving, 125 yards in kickoff returns, and 2 touchdowns in their victory over number 10, Miami.
And quarterback Bill Stahl for Pittsburgh, 18-25, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns as Pittsburgh crushed South Florida.
First ever helmet sticker for San Diego State, I believe. DeMarco Simpson of the Aztecs had 15 catches for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns in the Aztecs win over Colorado State.
Iowa quarterback Ricky Stanzi leading his team to a last-second victory at Michigan State, 15-13, to remain undefeated for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
And Jesse Smith, linebacker for Iowa State, 12 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception as Iowa State upset Nebraska 9-7.
Ball State's McQuail Lewis gets 301 yards rushing in their victory over Eastern Michigan. Best rushing performance of the year. And Stan Parrish gets his first win as a head coach in 1A football since 1986. Long time between drinks for Stan. He gets it. And also one other helmet sticker to give out from all of us.
Yes.
The West Virginia fans. Now, UConn deserves it too, but West Virginia's fans with such dignity and class and the way they handled the entire Jasper Howard affair with UConn. The Morgantown faithful, you get a helmet sticker. Our pleasure to watch your game today. We'll see you next week.
I was born in West Virginia.